Hi guys, welcome back to Cinderella. Some exciting things that happened recently. I turned 21 this week, or last week. Today is a very special video because I am going to be talking about how I plan my Walt Disney World vacations. This is a subject that is very near and dear to my heart because I feel like when you go to Disney World, it is not the kind of vacation that you can just wing anymore. Now, I love relaxed vacations as much as the next guy, but you can't just wing it at Disney World. There's so much to do and so much to experience that if you don't have a plan, you are not going to get your money's worth. Because it's not exactly cheap to be there. So when you plan, you're just making sure that you get your money's worth and you get to experience all that they have to offer and all that there is to do there. So I have written down here a list of how I plan my Walt Disney World vacations. I've planned quite a few trips, so I feel like I've accumulated some tips and I'm really excited to share them. A lot of you guys tell me how you're planning Disney World trips and how you're about to go, and I just figured this would be a really useful video for all you guys out there who are planning trips or will be planning trips in the future. I hope that all of you guys find my tips helpful, and let's get started. So the first thing that you're gonna wanna do is to pick a date. I like to reference several different kinds of crowd calendars when I do this. I go every May with my boyfriend so that we can see the Flower and Garden Festival because it's one of our absolute favorite things at Disney World. So that's definitely also a factor in when we go. Because I'm in college, I have this cushion of time in May where my classes are over, but the regular school system doesn't really get out until like end of June. So I have this nice cushion of time where I'm out of school, but pretty much everyone else is still in school. So this is really good because it's not as crowded in the parks, but I still get to experience the Flower and Garden Festival. So we like to go in May. Another important factor in when we go is that we have to buy plane tickets because we live too far away. So another important factor in deciding when we go is what deals we can get on airfare. If we fly at different times, sometimes it's cheaper if we fly at different times in the day, all sorts of things like that. I like to do this about 7 months in advance from the actual trip. The first major step of planning your actual trip starts 180 days before the trip, which is 6 months. So if you book your trip about 7 months in advance, you have your dates and you are ready to go as soon as you can start actually planning things. The next step in planning your Disney vacation is to pick your resort. I would in the future like to do a video about the benefits of staying on-site versus staying off-site. So please let me know in the comments if that's something that you're interested in seeing and I can push it to the front of my list. But I'm not going to get that deep into it. I'm not going to get into it in that much depth right now. This video is just meant to give you guys a general overview on how I plan my Disney vacations. The majority of the time, price is the determining factor in where you stay. However, if you are a couple going to Disney, like my boyfriend and I, sometimes you do have to weigh, yes, the value resorts are cheaper, but there's also more children, so there's gonna be a lot more noise. So in the past, we have stayed at the All-Star Music Resort and the Pop Century together, and we've decided that for our next trip, we are going to stay at Coronado Springs. It's not that much more money to stay at a moderate resort, and to us, the benefits of having it be a little bit quieter and a little bit more laid back, it's just worth it to us. Also, another thing to factor in when you're deciding which resort to stay at is that if you are someone who is going to be in the parks all day, every day you're there, then maybe you would want to go for a value resort because really you're only sleeping there. But for my boyfriend and I personally, we like to take the midday break where we'll get up really early in the morning, we'll go to the parks, and then we'll come back around like 12, 1 o'clock, freshen up, take a nap, basically just rest back at our hotel room for the middle of the day, and then we'll go back to the parks around 3, 4 o'clock. So we are going back to our resorts in the middle of the day every time we're at the parks. You might think that it wastes time, but we actually find it's a really great way to enjoy the parks because you can enjoy them really early in the morning and really late at night. So you cut out the middle of the day, which is the hottest part of the day, and you also get to rest. I find if I am walking around the parks all day, I can't enjoy them as much because by the end of the day, my back is killing me, my feet are killing me, and I'm just not enjoying myself. So I find that the midday break where I can just literally lay down and rest in air conditioning during the hottest part of the day is the best way to enjoy the parks. We do want to upgrade in price for our resort for this next trip because it's important to us to have a nice place to rest. We're not just sleeping there at night. We are going to be there during the day quite a bit. Next step in planning your Disney vacation would be to buy your tickets. In the past, we have booked them from both the Walt Disney World website itself, and we have also booked them from Undercover Tourist was the name of the website that we used. It's one of those discount ticket websites, but I mean, in my opinion, yes, there was a discount, but it was really only about $15 to $30 per person. So it wasn't that great of a discount, and we had no problems linking them to our account by any means, but in my opinion, it's a little bit easier to just buy them through the actual Walt Disney World website because you're paying pretty much the same amount. You're only saving like a little bit with the Undercover Tourist. If you're planning on not buying your tickets from the Disney World website, I would recommend buying them from Undercover Tourist. We had no issues using them. It was a slight discount, but in my opinion, it might just be easier to buy them from Walt Disney World. So the next step would have to be planning where you are going to be each day you're there. Sounds pretty vague, but it's a very, very important step. The park hour schedule is available 180 days or 6 months in advance before your trip. So you can know what parks are going to be open and how late and how early 6 months before your actual trip. At this point, it does not have to be anything complicated by any means. Simply what I do is I will write out all the days we're going to be there, and then I will look at the park hour schedule and I will try to schedule it so that the parks that are open extra early, we can be there. The parks that are open late, we can be there late at night so we can get the most bang for our buck. By doing this, it's also going to be a lot easier when you go into your next step. They all build on each other. By planning out where you're going to be each day, you're going to know what days you can make dining reservations in each park, what days you can book your fast passes. This is just a rough guide, but it's going to give you so many more options in planning your actual trip. So that brings us to our next step, which is booking your dining reservations. My personal favorite step. I am someone who is not happy when they have to just eat a crappy salad. You know, when I go out to eat, I like to eat good food that I personally enjoy, which means for me doing a lot of research about which restaurants are good, which restaurants have food that's to my boyfriend and I's personal tastes. And in order to do that, sometimes you have to get dining reservations really, really far in advance. The dining reservations are open to make 180 days before your trip, or 6 months. And some of the restaurants that you might want to go to are really, really high profile and need to be booked on the first day that they're available. Cinderella's Royal Table is one of those restaurants where the reservations go like that. Like you could blink and they could be out. Sometimes I've heard of people who have to wake up at 6 a.m. to be on the website to book a Cinderella's Royal Table reservation. Hypothetically, I would love to be able to eat there for our next trip. So I guess let's see if I can get a reservation. I'll let you guys know. Another really high profile restaurant is actually the Be Our Guest restaurant. When I was planning my last trip, I waited a little bit too long to book reservations. We were going to be in the Magic Kingdom for 2 days during our trip, and I could only get a lunch reservation for one of the days. I would love to eat dinner there, but that's one of those things where you gotta be on it because you might not get the reservation if you don't. So if there's a particular restaurant that you know you're gonna want to eat at, definitely plan it out over 6 months before your actual trip so you can get that reservation and you can have that dining experience that's gonna make your trip so much better. Next step is going to be fast passes, which is probably going to be pretty easy because after I have all my dining reservations booked, I can start getting an idea of what rides I want to go on. To my knowledge, fast passes are available 60 days before your trip if you are staying on site and 30 days before your trip if you are staying off site. Don't quote me on that, but that is what the website said. So, fast passes are essential in enjoying your trip. I don't understand anyone who doesn't use a fast pass. I'm sorry, you have to use fast passes. It is a brilliant, genius system in which you can literally bypass the line on your favorite attractions. Like, what? Especially at Walt Disney World where everything is just so crowded because everything's so great and everyone wants to experience it. Fast passes are a way to cut that line and reserve a seat on your favorite rides. I don't understand why anyone would maybe not use fast passes, but if you are going to Walt Disney World, you have to use fast passes, in my opinion. You also might want to do a little bit of research before you book your fast passes. I am a nerd, so I take it a step further. I like to look at which rides are the most popular during which times of the day, so I can kind of get an idea of which rides I'm going to kind of get the best fast pass for. For an example, the Pirates of the Caribbean ride is one of my absolute favorite rides in the Magic Kingdom, and it's one of my boyfriend's favorites too. So as you can imagine, whenever we go to the Magic Kingdom, we have to do Pirates of the Caribbean at least once. But during my research, I found the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, while it's usually like, it gets up to kind of I think a 50-minute wait is kind of maxes out at an hour wait time during like the middle of the day. But if you go to the parks at like 8 a.m. or as soon as they open, like my boyfriend and I do, you can get in there and you can ride Pirates of the Caribbean while it has no wait time. So to me, that really wouldn't be worth booking a fast pass for, because there are times of the day where it's a 5-minute or no minute wait. And then on the other hand, you have rides like the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, which is also one of my boyfriend and I's favorites. We have to do every time we go. That is gonna have over an hour wait anytime you're in the park, with the exception of right when it opens. But right when it opens, I like to go and do all of those rides because I can bang out a couple rides. I like to go, sometimes I can ride Peter Pan right when it opens. I can go do Pirates of the Caribbean. I can go do Winnie the Pooh. All in the time span it would take me to do one Mine Train ride. So to me, I would rather get a fast pass for Mine Train later in the day and go and do several rides in the morning when there's no wait time. So that's just kind of like an overview of how I like to plan my fast passes. Definitely know what rides you want and know what rides are gonna have crazy wait times, because that's what you're gonna get the best worth out of your fast pass, if that makes sense. The next step is my absolute favorite part of planning. This is getting into the nitty-gritty details of your Walt Disney World trip. Don't laugh at me. Every trip I go, I make a hardcore Excel sheet of times, days, park hours, you name it. Now, full disclosure, when I showed this Excel sheet to my family and my friends, they laughed at me because it's a little dorky because I kind of plan everything. So this is my schedule. As you can see, it's in an Excel sheet. See, I have, like over here, I have Festival of Fantasy parades are in red. I have fast passes over here. I have dining reservations over here in a different color. And then I have different things that you can do throughout the day. Some tours for the Flower and Garden Festival, different shows, different things. When I start my Excel sheet, I go by looking, I usually do this about 60 days, 2 months in advance from booking this trip. By then I already have my fast passes and my dining reservations, so I know what times of the day I'm gonna have available. So I typically start my Excel sheets by looking at the park hour schedule. I will plan out every day. I will plan out each day of the trip and where I'm going to be each day of the trip. And then I will have time slots on the side. I put in park hours, hotel check-in and check-out. I put in what times the parades are going to be. I put in what times different shows are going to be. Like at Hollywood Studios and Animal Kingdom, they have all these great shows. I'll put in different time slots for the show so I have some options to choose. I'll put in my fast passes and my dining reservations so I can clearly see what times of the day I'm not going to be doing anything. So I can look on the website and see if there are any shows or like special things going on that I could go and do. I even plan out when the nighttime spectaculars are going to be so I know wherever I am in the park, get myself to Main Street or whatever nighttime spectacular it is. Putting it in an Excel sheet is very helpful to me personally because I think it's just a lot easier to actually physically see different time slots of what you have going on. Excel is also a very convenient way to organize all of your information. You can move things around, you can delete cells, you can add rows, you can color code things. So it's easy for me where I'm looking at my schedule and I can clearly see what's going on at each time in each park in each day. A lot of times what I would like to do is, as I mentioned before, I like to just go to the park really early in the morning and try to bang out as many rides as I possibly can. What I will usually do is I will pick an area of the park to make a beeline for, and I will pick a list of maybe 3 to 5 attractions that I know I'm going to want to do at some point in the day that I can bang out all within that same area so that in like an hour when the park starts to really fill up, I will probably have done a lot of the stuff that I want to do that day because I picked several rides in the same area that I knew I wanted to do. I even like to print out my Excel sheet and bring it into the parks with me so I have a hard copy of my schedule. So that usually takes a while to get right down into the details, but I find that this is the best way to plan your Disney World vacation. So that is an overview of how I plan my Walt Disney World vacations. I really hope that this video is going to be a useful tool to all of you guys out there who are also planning Walt Disney World vacations. I planned quite a few, so I feel like I have a lot of tips, and I'm really glad that I got a chance to share them with you guys on my channel. If you did like this video and find it helpful, be sure to give me a thumbs up to let me know. You can subscribe to my channel for more Disney love because I make new videos every Wednesday. Or you can follow my adventures day to day on Instagram and Twitter, which is also @CintyRelly. Let me know in the comments if you guys like this video and want more videos like this where I talk about how I plan things and different things that I do when I'm there, or just in general what kinds of videos you guys would like to see. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Have a magical day.